Hello and welcome to today's press briefing with the Swedish Minister for Foreign Affairs, Malmer Stenergard, and Germany's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Johann Wadephul. Following the press briefing, the webcast will be available on the Swedish government website, government.se.
God eftermiddag, guten Nachmittag oder vielleicht guten Abend, lieber Johann, lieber Kollege. Es ist mir eine große...
Johann, colleague, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you to your first official visit to Stockholm. Welcome.
It is my great pleasure to receive my German colleague, Johann Wadephul, for the first time here in Stockholm. I know you visited several times before, but the first time as Foreign Minister. Germany is our close ally, a reliable partner, and our true friend. Our cooperation with Germany is not only excellent, it is more important than ever before. This year also marks 75 years of diplomatic relations between Sweden and Germany, but obviously our relations have a much longer history than that. Our meeting today takes place in troubled times for European security. Russia's brutal attacks continue against Ukrainian cities, civilians, and energy infrastructure. Regardless of what's in the news right now, we, the EU and NATO, must be prepared for long-term confrontation with Russia. Moreover, the territorial integrity of our neighbor Denmark is being disputed. Facing these shared challenges, we need to step up the cooperation among like-minded states like Germany and Sweden. And that is why late last year, the strategic innovation partnership between Germany and Sweden was extended. It now includes cooperation in foreign and security policy, capital markets, international development cooperation, and migration. And this cooperation strengthens our industry, our competitiveness, and our security. Looking ahead, we are working together to enhance security and cooperation in the Baltic Sea area even further, turning the Council of Baltic Sea States, the CBSS, which includes Germany and Poland, into a forum for regional security policy discussions is part of this effort. Finally, I would like to thank you for Germany's steadfast support to Ukraine and for pursuing our common interests in the transatlantic dialogue. We see challenges around us, but also opportunities. Together, Sweden and Germany can show that democracies can deliver both security and prosperity to our citizens. Over to you, Johann.
Vielen Dank, liebe Maria. Herzlichen Dank für den...
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you for the warm welcome you've given me here in Stockholm. I myself grew up at the Baltic Sea, and I live near Kiel at the Baltic Sea coast, and it was a pleasure for me to travel to Sweden today. I'm delighted that so shortly after our meeting in Berlin, we could continue our discussions today. Germany and Sweden are very congruent in essential questions we are being faced with. We share the same view of the security policy situation in Europe, and we draw joint conclusions. And the most important thing is we are willing to assume responsibility together. This year we are celebrating 75 years of the resumption of diplomatic relations between the Kingdom of Sweden and the Federal Republic of Germany. And I believe that this is also a clear mandate for the future, a mandate to intensify our close partnership even further, especially when it comes to our prosperity and our security. A focus of a priority of our cooperation over the last years was the joint innovation partnership that we have further enhanced at the end of 2025, as you just said. And this is about more than just economic cooperation. Our partnership combines technology, security, and strategic sovereignty. For example, when it comes to developing new technologies and defense innovation. This is also strengthening Europe's capability to act and its independence. And this is what we've seen over recent weeks. It's high time to do that. Sweden, as a Nordic country, is a country with which Germany has traditionally very close relations, both bilaterally and in the EU, at the Baltic Sea Council, and which is particularly welcome since 2024 also within NATO. Your accession to NATO is a decisive signal of transatlantic strength. It strengthens our alliance as a whole tremendously, and it also strengthens security in the High North. In recent weeks, we have seen how the High North, the Arctic region, has been at the center of big power rivalries. But the Arctic has not only been an integral part of Euro-Atlantic security architecture recently, it's been important for a long time. We need presence, clear rules, and close coordination within NATO. Germany will make its contribution to security in the Arctic region. Maria, right at our doorstep in the Baltic Sea region, we can see how precious the trust and cooperation is that we have between Berlin and Stockholm. Russia uses hybrid tactics against us in a very targeted manner by damaging undersea cables, jamming GPS signals, disinformation campaigns, and a shadow fleet that circumvenes sanctions and creates hazards to the environment. Russia tests our resilience and our resolve every day. Germany and Sweden are working closely together to firmly counter these activities. Part of this is an ambitious 20th EU sanctions package that focuses even more on Russian energy exports, financial flows, and the shadow fleet. Our resolve is also reflected in our stance against Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. This is why we talked extensively about the support to Ukraine today. This war must not be sidelined, especially in these times. Sweden was one of the countries that saw from the beginning very clearly what is at stake and have adapted their reaction to that. And by the way, not only in Ukraine, but also in Sweden, one thing is true. Your systematic buildup of societal resilience is truly impressive, ranging from civil protection to a modern military service and fighting off disinformation. Your investment in your own resilience goes hand in hand with enormous financial and military support for Ukraine, and I would like to wholeheartedly thank you for that. One thing is clear, this war will not just end by itself. Negotiations are an essential part of a path towards peace, but only if they are held in a fair manner. Without serious Russian willingness to negotiate, we cannot expect a solution that would not be tantamount to a capitulation by Ukraine. So direct negotiations with the mediation of the United States are an important signal, and especially at this stage in which the civilian population of Ukraine is being terrorized by Putin in an unprecedented way, our joint pressure on Russia and Putin remains indispensable. And of course, it needs to be clear to everyone. Decisions about a future security architecture in Europe cannot be taken without Europe. Maria, Germany and Sweden work together in many fields to make Europe capable of acting. We want to further develop our decision-making processes within the EU. And first and foremost, we want more use of qualified majority voting in foreign and security policy. Because in times of geopolitical upheaval, as we're witnessing right now, our ability to act must not fail due to the principle of unanimity. So I'm delighted and I'm looking forward to our future cooperation for the security of the Baltic Sea region, for a Europe that's capable of acting, and for a clear stance in a world of unrest. Thank you very much.
Die Zeit. Rika Havertz von der Zeit. Finnland plant, so hört man es.
Finland plans to establish a center for surveying the Baltic Sea and activities in the Baltic Sea, including undersea cable. Could other riparian states of the Baltic Sea take a part in this?
Ja, das ist sicherlich notwendig.
Yes, this is certainly necessary and it's the right thing to do. There are also reflections in Germany to engage and to join that effort. Our security authorities are in close exchange on that. It's absolutely clear that the underwater infrastructure has been targeted several times already in the Baltic Sea, and this situation where we're not able to defend ourselves is something we need to overcome very quickly. So we will be happy to support any initiative here.
Very specific proposal, but in general we cooperate very closely, and I think we've become a lot better on that during the last couple of years since we started seeing these damages to the cables. And one must remember that it is from different reasons that they are damaged, but it is a threat to the Baltic Sea, and I very much appreciate that we are working closer together. But of course there is always more that can be done, and I think that this is something that could also be discussed within this format of the CBSS that I mentioned initially. Thank you.
Swedish television.
It's a question for the two of you regarding nuclear deterrence. Minister Wadephul, I know that you were one of the first politicians in your party, CDU, that raised the topic of a common French-German nuclear umbrella, and at that time it was viewed quite radical by some. Not that much anymore, and today the topic is also present in the Swedish debate. So I wanted the two of you please to expand a bit on how you see the preconditions now for a sovereign European nuclear shield umbrella.
Would you like to start, Johan? Or?
Shall I answer?
Yes, absolutely. You know that, and you've said it, that I'm open, and the same is true for the federal government as a whole, that we have such discussions with the Republic of France. Of course, we also want to include others. Europe needs to start thinking about such issues, but Europe also needs to know today that there is no quick solution for that. We still will be dependent on the American nuclear shield for quite some time, and it exists. It continues to exist. There is no doubt about it. But on the way towards greater independence and sovereignty for Europe, questions of strategic security need to be discussed in an open and frank manner. So for me, it is decisive that we've found a way to discuss things and that we have no bans on certain ideas, but concrete implementation will take quite some time.
Vi är ju nu, tack och lov, del av NATO. Och i NATO finns det 3 kärnvapenmakter. Och jag tror att det är intressant att diskutera hur vi utvecklar vår kärnvapenförmåga för att upprätthålla avskräckningen på det sätt som är alldeles nödvändigt. Men exakt hur man strategiskt resonerar kring detta, det tror jag den diskussionen måste vi föra inom alliansen.
RTL News.
Ja, vielen Dank, Christian.
RTL Christian Wilb, NTV, RTL German Television. A question to both of you. The mass protests in Iran have been sidelined recently, although there are reports stating that during these mass protests about 30,000 people have been killed by the Mullah regime and its henchmen. My question would be, what do you think when you hear such reports? Can Europe do something? Or can you only hope that the United States will do something and intervene? Well, I do believe that we as Europeans can do something, and we did that in the past. Germany and France and the UK reinstalled the UN sanction regime after the Iranian regime has not committed itself to not acquire nuclear weapons, and we also have a clear stance regarding what's going on right now in Iran. We've seen that this is an unhuman regime that has lost people's support in the country entirely, and the horrific numbers of people that are suffering, that have been tortured, that have been imprisoned. This is reason for an outcry, and we work for the listing of the IGRC under the terrorist list, and I was glad to hear that the Republic of Italy is in favor of such a sanction. So we do make some progress, and I do believe that we can move quickly to take the relevant decisions at the EU level, because it needs to be clear that those who are responsible for this terrorism will have to face harsh consequences. And as far as we can make this happen with the sanctions regime, we need to do it.
I think we must be a lot tougher on the Iranian regime and really show our support for the brave women and men that are protesting for the rights to be respected in Iran. And the news that have come out are absolutely terrifying. We don't know the correct numbers because also internet is shut down. It's impossible to know exactly what is going on, which is also a problem that we should address if possible. But I am glad that this is on the agenda on the FAC meeting on Thursday that we will attend, and I hope we will be able to make important decisions on sanctions. And I also am very much in favor of the terrorism listing of the IRGC, like Johan mentioned. Thank you.
Last question to Swedish radio.
A question for both of you. NATO's General Secretary Mark Rutte said today that Europe can't defend itself, and it shouldn't think in this way. At the same time, Europe is not trusting the US as before. What is your take on this? Can Europe defend itself, and is it possible to do it without US help?
Okay. If I start then, do you prefer in Swedish or? Ja. Okay. Så de uttalanden som USA har gjort har verkligen skadat tilliten när det gäller samarbetet inom NATO. Men vi har fortfarande ett NATO-medlemskap. Sverige har 31 allierade som finns där för oss om det skulle behövas. Och det inkluderar artikel 5. Och vi har fortfarande inte hört någonting från den amerikanska administrationen som skulle motsäga det. Tyvärr så ligger det ju en hel del i det som amerikanska administrationer har sagt sedan Eisenhowers tid. Det vill säga att Europa måste investera mer i sin egen säkerhet. Och nu gör vi ju det som verkligen krävs av oss. Och det kommer att ta tid. Men vi visar ju vägen i Sverige. Vi ökar våra försvarsinvesteringar. Vi ökar också våra förmågor som också är mycket uppskattade i alliansen. Och jag är helt övertygad om att den amerikanska administrationen har rätt i just denna sak. Det vill säga att Europa måste också visa att Europa är värt att försvara. Och det måste vi göra i investeringar och i handling. Och det gör vi nu. Och det är också en styrka för Europa. Men försvaret av alliansens territorium sker i det här 360-graders perspektivet. Där vi förväntar oss att alla också ställer upp.
Also, wenn ich Bezug nehme auf die amerikanische...
Well, if I refer to the American defense strategy, I can only say that it doesn't come as a surprise to me that the United States of America expect Europe to be able to defend itself conventionally within a certain period of time, and it is doable for Europe. We are on the way to getting there. We've decided to spend 5% of our GDP on defense. And if we do that over the coming years, Germany and Sweden are absolutely committed to reaching that goal. We will, of course, be able to defend ourselves conventionally. When it comes to a nuclear shield, it is, of course, a more difficult question. I already made some comments about that, and we will need some more time to we will still depend on the US shield for quite some time, but we are not calling into question this shield and it is not being called into question due to the defense strategy of the United States. So we will do both. We will, on the one hand, really systematically stand up for more European independence and show that we are able to define our own fate, and on the other hand, always make sure that the defense alliance with the United States of America remains vivid and alive, that the US stays committed here in Europe, and that then we have nothing to fear for a safe future of Europe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.